I often sit in this chair and exclaim on a Tinfoil Tuesday that I have seen absolutely everything. Well, guess what? Now I really have seen everything, until something else unbelievable comes along. Hello all and welcome along to another episode of Tinfoil Tuesday with me, Simon Dan. Thank you very much for joining me. Yes, today I bring you a fresh, brand spanking new conspiracy from YouTuber Stellium7, who seems to think that Titans existed. His video title exclusively states that he has exclusive proof that Titans existed. And I'm not joking when I say this. This proof is mountains that look a little bit like elephants. I hope I have your attention, so let's cast aside our doubts and sit back as we take a look at Stellium7's video. Away we go. See what I mean?
Hello, and welcome to Unveiling a Titan, the first of what will be several videos in a series in which I hope to provide conclusive proof that Titans actually existed, or at the very least, a lot of compelling evidence that will spark curiosity.
Is it just going to be mountains that look like elephants though? Because if it is, I don't think that's going to cut it.
This is a famous mountain on the east coast of Spain, in the Costa Blanca, that's called Montgo. It's also known as the elephant.
Ah.
So you can see the shape of the head here, the upper back, and then tapering off. And in fact, there's a plateau here that's higher than the town in this area that looks a lot like a trunk that's been extended.
Wow. People really see what they want to see, don't they?
When you see it from the right angle. I've been hiking this mountain for about 8 years now. I've been inside of the eye on numerous occasions. There are several other caves that I've also been in. But it's really only been for the last year that I've been looking at this mountain with different eyes.
An elephant's eye isn't right on the front of its face near the trunk. It's on the side of its face.
And I was exposed to some new ideas that caused me to look at it differently, and I began gathering evidence. I've taken lots of photographs and videos. I've been in places that I probably shouldn't have been, and even injured myself a couple of times.
All for the sake of a mountain that looks a little bit like an elephant.
About a year ago, I got exposed to the idea of Titans. It wasn't the first time. As a kid, I was exposed to the mythology, the Greek mythologies, and watched this movie, The Clash of the Titans, saw the Kraken get turned to stone by the Medusa's head. And I ran across a couple of videos by Mud Fossils University.
Ah, that explains it then. Mud Fossils University is someone I've been keeping an eye on. They certainly will be appearing on this channel at some point. They bring you such classics as Giant Human Rectum Perfectly Preserved, This Is Why NASA Blocked Me, and Walls Made of Giant Body Parts.
Talking about the idea that fossilization could happen much, much faster than we realized. Also looking at the idea that there was probably a worldwide flood that involved a great deal of mud that caused lots of creatures to be encased and then eventually fossilized.
Yeah, the mud floods which didn't happen, those floods.
Another video by Jay Dreamers did this Petrified Titans video, which was very fascinating, and he made a pretty interesting case, I felt, for the possibility that Titans actually existed.
In case you were wondering, there is no actual evidence that they did.
And that was a real surprise to me because I grew up near a mountain in California called Chief's Peak, and it looks a lot like an Indian lying on its back, and I was always fascinated by the resemblance, but it never really occurred to me that maybe it was.
Right, sure.
So I started seeing photographs like this and others. And it definitely sparked my imagination.
At this point, I think it's important to identify the following. Hey Google, define pareidolia.
Here's a summary from Wikipedia. Pareidolia is the tendency for incorrect perception of a stimulus as an object, pattern or meaning known to the observer, such as seeing shapes in clouds, seeing faces in inanimate objects or abstract patterns, or hearing hidden messages in music. Pareidolia can be considered a subcategory of apophenia.
Just saying.
This is Paul Bunyan with his buddy Blue, I believe. A big ox. The myth goes that the Grand Canyon was formed by him dragging his axe behind him. And he used to go around North America cutting down gigantic trees with his axe.
Okay, this is fast becoming a conspiracist dream. Mud floods, titans, tree stumps, it's all in there.
So maybe there's some truth to that tale. So one of the first things a skeptic will think when they look at these kinds of pictures is that people are suffering from something known as pareidolia, which is when you see things that aren't really there. You look up at a cloud and you see a dragon or a face or something, and obviously that's not really in the cloud.
Beat you to it. I wonder how he'll explain this one.
And so it's easy to make the same mistake when you're looking at these kinds of photographs. But in Jay Dreamer's video, I started thinking a little differently when I photographs like this, because I've been living near this mountain that is known as the Elephant for the last 8 years, and when I saw these images I thought, maybe it's not just a mountain that looks like an elephant. Maybe there's actually more to it than that.
No, it's a mountain that looks like an elephant due to the gradual erosion of rock over millions of years.
So some of these might just be rocks that take that shape, that form, but you never know. Some of them might actually be fossilized elephants.
I googled mountains that look like faces, and I think you can quite clearly see that this one here in particular is a classic case of pareidolia. Nothing more than some coincidental weathering and some good old human imagination that makes those faces appear, I'm afraid.
Round, 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 the earth is round. Smart
Oh,
people
there's
found
cats.
that the earth is
Wonder what he
round.
wants.
There's proof abound. Don't
Hello mate, you alright?
Dan, hey! Listen, you do realise you've just shown a picture of Mount Rushmore, don't you?
Yeah, I know. What's the problem?
Yeah. Those faces were carved by people.
Oh, not you too, cats. Bloody hell. It's classic pareidolia, mate. I've seen it 100 times before. You know what? I thought better of you, mate. Really, really poor. Right, back to proceedings. Sorry about that.
And if that's the case, then everything we know about geology is based on erroneous thinking, and we need to start to revisit these different ologies. And in the last year and a half since I first got exposed to this idea, a lot of other interesting topics have come along. The idea that maybe our entire historical timeline has been manipulated and large segments of time have been injected.
Oh no, don't say it.
A lot of people are studying the works of Anatoly Fomenko, who makes those suppositions. The topic of star forts is incredibly fascinating. These gigantic star complexes that are found on every continent all around the world.
Please, please, don't go there.
the lost civilization of Tartaria, which is it's mind-boggling, really, to consider that the largest empire in the history of humanity is something that isn't even touched on in our history books.
He's going to, isn't he?
And it's easily provable. There's a plethora of information out there, ancient maps and photographic evidence, all sorts of things that suggest that our understanding of our history has been manipulated. There are even people who suppose that giant trees existed that were, along the likes of Avatar. And a lot of this ties back into the mud flood idea, which is that there was once a major flood that swept across the entire world and covered up most everything living in its wake. And so that's how I got on this topic originally.
Oh, I thought he was going to say that the Earth is flat. Kudos to you, Stellium 7, for not swallowing that one.
I'll just give you a little overview. This is my plan for this video series. For those of you who are impatient, I'll just show you this right off the bat. This is a list of the different coincidences that I've compiled. And if you're interested in reading this, you can pause the video and do that.
I'm not going to do that because I read number 5, which says, shape of skull and nasal ridge anatomically correct. There is no way that a rock or mountain will ever be truly anatomically correct when comparing it to an elephant. Because it's a rock or a mountain. Wow, I really do love fresh new conspiracies, but this one is really hard to get through. Believe it or not, Stellium 7 has made 5 videos on this very topic. Right, that brings an end to today's Tinfoil Tuesday. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, a like and subscribe would be thoroughly appreciated. I have been Simon Dan. Have yourselves a great week, and I'll see you all on Friday for the Patreon poll video winner. See you then.